So my brother Afro Think Tank has a new channel called African American Experience in Africa. I've collaborated with him several times on this channel. Why don't you check him out at the first link below? And if you like the content on this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. But today we're going to be talking about his video he dropped about 3 days ago. Why so many African Americans are leaving Africa. Let's check it out.
What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today I want to talk about why so many African Americans are moving back to America from Africa and why I think it is, right? I actually think it's pretty obvious. I think the reason why African Americans who moved to Africa and a lot of them are coming back is simply because they weren't prepared. It's just that simple. They were not prepared. Their enthusiasm and their love and the feelings and all the sprinkles and watercolors and all that stuff got ahead of their administrative responsibilities. So, because a lot of people told them that, hey, it's very cheap to live in Africa. It's very cheap. It's cheap. It's cheap. Take your money, come over here and do this, do that. Africa, we're calling you home. And people got so excited. People actually picked up and moved to Africa on their first visit.
Okay, that is very important. I've noticed that some people have done that. I mean, I've talked to people who've done it and have been successful moving to the continent of, a country of their choice on the first visit. But again, not preparing. That's one of the things on this channel that we try to bring a lot of information about, which is your preparation zone, right? What do you need to do? What contacts do you need to make? If you're going to be working with big companies, can you secure those companies on your first or second visit by doing things for free? It's a great tip. I recommend it. I've even heard Dr. Harnett recommend the same thing. Hey, when you come here, your first trip, go and see in your business, in your industry that you do, can you get contracts with clients? Like, hey, listen, I want to do this for free. I'd like to do this to show you what we can do. And I want to foster that relationship when I'm back in the United States to show you. And then when I come back, I'll have, an ability to work there because I have guaranteed money and things like that. But we don't see that happening a lot of times on, in the diaspora. Many of us in like the African-American diaspora, we're not even talking to Africans that live in America. We're not talking to the embassies there. We're not even going into like some of the parties or getting acquainted with some of the successful Africans there that could help guide our journey. We're just making the trip here and, then we're moving here and then we're trying to start all over because it's like, us against the world, but it don't work like that.
Some people went to Africa on one vacation, right? No matter what country it is they went to, and they went home, packed all that stuff and moved, right? And the reason why I think that's a bad thing is because after the glitz and glamour is over, after the honeymoon phase is over, right? After the nostalgia is over, there's still the administrative stuff to take care of, right? You still have to understand the system. You still have to have money being generated, right? And you got some people that want to go to Africa and get a job, right? And unfortunately, at this moment in time, unless you have some sort of high-skilled discipline that is necessary and is lacking in some of these African countries, you going there to get a job might just be a dead mission, right?
So let's talk about that. First of all, I want to kind of go back to something you said before I missed, was that this whole idea that Africa is cheap. You start looking at the Naira in comparison to the dollar. You start looking at the CD in comparison to the dollar, or the Ugandan shilling in comparison to the dollar, and yeah, it's a lot of money. But you're not thinking about like even this mic. This is a Shure SM7B mic. It's like $400. But then when you're paying tax on this mic, it could be easily become $600, and then when you need to ship this mic, it could become like $700, right? So think about the fact that if you have like on a podcast like we do on the RePat podcast, this is almost like double the price for each mic that we have. So, and you need these things to sustain the business. Whatever industry you're in, you're going to need American-based goods or American-based equipment, or Japanese-based equipment, or Chinese-based equipment. And so that is much more expensive here than what it would be if you were back somewhere else. And that's something that you need to consider. And also the job creation factor, or coming here looking for a job. That's very easy to achieve, or to come up the career path in other places. But when you're coming here and you really want to roll the dice, you're going to need to go to the entrepreneur path, which is very doable on the continent. But if you've never done it before, it is challenging. And, you know, for somebody like me who's been trying to do a business for like 10 to 15 years, I was trying when I was a teenager. You know, I had a passion for this, you know, to a lot of deferring my gratification. I'm okay with being uncomfortable, but some people are not. It's a skill that you probably need to develop a little bit before you come, and just, you know, start coming here and trying to figure it out.
First, not only is it a bad idea to go there seeking a job, unless you, like I said, have a specialty, you will also be taken away from the locals who are also struggling to get their own jobs, right? You don't want to be like that, do you? You know? So unless you're going there to create jobs, to start a business, then you wouldn't be an asset to the community. You would be a liability to the community at this point in time. There will be a point in time where people will be able to migrate to Africa for jobs. But that's probably about 10 to 20 years down the line. Once the initial repatriates, the initial diaspora that go back to build, and the initial, when the continentals, you know, who are gathering and forming and creating better governments and systems, once all that stuff starts to mature and the opportunity truly blossoms the way it's gone, I mean, it's on its way. It's happening. You can literally see it happening. It's just not there yet. So right now, those people who would love to move back to Africa, but it requires them to get a job and they don't have any specific skills, but they had a little bit of savings, those people are the ones who jumped out there, right? And they got to come back because they don't have enough money to survive. Because as cheap as it is to live over there, it's not really that cheap. You still need money. You still got to have some sort of reoccurring income to pay your rent, to pay your daily, you know, your daily bills, or your daily, you know, whatever it is you got to do daily, right? Things can add up, and your savings, unless you have millions of dollars in your account, it's not going to cut it, right? So all I'm saying is the reason why people are leaving because they just left too soon. They didn't prepare properly, right? And that's always going to happen. I got a friend in Ikiti, Nigeria, right? He's never been to America, never been anywhere, right? He owns all this property. He's got a bunch of land. He got some rental properties on there, but he wants to move, him and his family, to Canada. He's never been to Canada because he believes that Canada is this place where he's going to get all this opportunity. I tried to convince him otherwise, but, you know, sometimes when a person's mind is made up, it's made up. And he wants to jump ship and move to Canada. I happen to know that he's going to be setting himself up for failure because I can see it, right? He wants to leave a place where he has land that's appreciating. He has property that he's making money monthly. He wants to sell all of that, right? And move him and his family with his children to Canada, where he will be introduced.
Okay, this is also important, a connection that he's going to make. If you're in America and you'd like to come to Ghana or move to Ghana, what he's saying is, if you don't have to, don't sell your things, right? As much as we are from the African continent, and this is going to be controversial what I'm saying, we're still tied to our citizenship, our home base. Every month I have a pension I still invest in. For me, I've been doing it for the last, I don't know how many years in America, right? I still pay taxes in America, and I still have investments in America. Also, as well as I'm here. So I'm not trying to, you know, liquidate what I have there to just be here. If you want to go, that's fine, but you shouldn't liquidate your stuff because I know people that are moving to Africa, they still have rental properties, they still have real estate, and they live here. They do something different here, but they still have their stuff. And that's the important thing. You still need your assets as they're going to undergird you in your journey here.
Where he will be introduced to recurring monthly bills. Reoccurring monthly water bill, electric bill, gas bill, rent, higher cell phone bills, reoccurring bills he's never even encountered before, and he's gonna get trapped in this.
That is so true. So true. You're gonna sell all your stuff where you don't have any bills to go to a place where you're gonna get your reoccurring bills. Great.
Trapped in a cycle, right? And he's gonna either have to deal with it, or he's gonna have to jump ship and take his ass back home. So a lot, just like a lot of, when you got a lot of enthusiastic people going to Africa, you know, and they're going a little bit ahead of themselves, and they spend all their money and their hopes and dreams, and they make mistakes because they don't quite know the system, or the system not quite set up to be efficient, they end up having to come back. It's the same way with anybody, with any group of people that want to immigrate to another country. It's a tall order to immigrate to another country. You're talking about a completely different system. You're talking about a completely different system that you have to get used to and understand and learn all the little nuances in order to survive, in order to be able to get along, right? And that can be difficult for some people, all right? So I think that's why people, African Americans, are coming back to America from different countries in Africa. But I do believe most of these people will just regather themselves and they'll go back and try again.
So let me talk about the nuances in the systems that are typically, I don't know about Francophone, but in Anglophone speaking countries that I've been to. Things happen slower, all right? I think to get my work permit, it was a process of almost about 7 months. That's difficult. You're going to this person or who talk to that person, or, you know, not for that particular process, but that is typical. And so a level of frustration always happens. Now it's to the point where it doesn't bother me anymore. I'm used to that. But in America, you're so used to things happening right away. Like, even if you do business with somebody in America, they're gonna, for the most part, do things, you know, at a certain level, and they're gonna do it fast. You have people who can do it like that here, but it is not the norm as it is in America. That is something that is built into the system. People are not used to that high level of like customer service, high level of execution. It's just not in the private sectors that I've been in, although I would say Kenya is probably the best that I've seen. In South Africa, because they have a lot of international brands. But you're going to be dealing with that in the system. It's not only in the public sector, it's real prevalent in the private sector. And if you're not used to that, you're going to come up with a lot of ways of solving your own issues, putting together a system to get things to you, putting together a system to make sure that you can have what you need to create your own experiences, because it's just not here, right? Doesn't make it bad, but it just means you got to be a little innovative.
Right? If you fail once, keep trying. Fail twice, keep trying. Fail 3 times, keep trying, especially if it's your passion. So, but slowly but surely, as the expat community gets bigger, as we start forming businesses around the services necessary to make it a smoother transition, you know, for us people to go back and forth from our motherland to the other places that we reside in, it'll be easier for people to go back and forth, right? And keep in mind, from America to Africa is 1 day away. It's one plane ticket. It's one plane right away. So you can establish yourself in Africa while keeping yourself in America. Just remember, when you travel, just think about that day as a goner, right? Just like if you were to travel anywhere else in America, you just give up that 1 day. So you can magically teleport yourself to any place in the world, as long as you just give up 1 day of watching Netflix while waiting in line, a day of watching your favorite YouTube channels while sitting on the plane, just sitting there until you get to your destination. So I think in this day
and with the internet on the plane, some of them, you probably could watch it while you're on the plane. I know I experienced that one time with Qatar Airways. So these airplanes are getting real better with the on-flight internet, and it's like very, very fast. So
this day and age of information and rapid transit around the world, we have to stop thinking about these vast distances as an obstacle when it's not. It's literally just a day away, just a day of entertainment away. Okay, so keep that in mind, and don't ever give up on your dreams of going to Africa if you want to. And take your time. You can take your time. You can take 5, 6, 10 years to go back and forth, setting things up, getting used to things, making connections until you're ready to fully make the jump permanently. Okay, so that's all I got to say for now, guys. Afro Think Tank, learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Let me kind of address that last point. Take your time. You can take 5 to 10 years to make the right connections and to do something. Now, for those of you who have seen the inception of the Ken Gonda channel, Ken Gonda Studios, the Ken Gonda brand, and we've had some ups and downs in this business, ups and downs on this channel. We've had people, rest in peace, Kim the Comic, people who have passed away in the business, things like that. We've had, ups and downs and consistency, me leaving and coming back. But what I will tell you is that those 5 years, Ken Gonda started December 2018 as an idea and then executed as an idea in 2018. And now we're in June, in 2023. We have new people who are now helping us. We're in our 5th year of the business, and it was a fight. We used to be in, we couldn't do anything. Now we have people coming to visit us. We've had Austin Holloman come. We've had Wode Maya come, although he didn't come on the podcast here, but he came on the Pan African Dating Show. We've just been able to slowly get our feet in under us and try to impact the community. We've done farms, we've done everything, right? But it's taken about 5 years for us to really figure it out. And that's with me leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back, and then having good management, Jonita, who took us for such a long way. Then Rachel, who's our new GM. We've done really great. Now we have the Pan African Dating Show, and what I'm saying is that it takes time, and we're still in the process. Right, this is the 5th year. Now we're looking to stay in for another 5 years. Right, we'll make it 10. So what he's saying is, take your time. You just need to start the process of this. You don't have to be able to say, I want to move in a year or 2 years. If you can do it, great. But take your time. Take your time getting to know suppliers. Take your time understanding the industry you're going to be. Take your time understanding how to add value to that particular value chain. You may start off in one area of the value chain, but it doesn't mean that you're going to end there, right? Like we started in one area of the value chain here. We didn't start as a podcast, right? That wasn't the goal for this channel, but now we are in the podcasting lane now. And now we were focusing on Kenya and Uganda, but now we've noticed that the diaspora is our biggest support base as we're trying to win the local markets too. So this is a great journey. It's ups and downs, and it's like anything else, but take your time. If you ever decide, we've had many of you that visited us. You came to our Africa Day event. We saw you. We took pictures and things, which we're going to post on the community tab here pretty soon. But take your time, right? It's not a rush. And if you're from here, if you're a continental Africa living abroad and you're looking to come home, keep making those trips. Go back. Make those trips, go back. You as well need those same connections, because maybe when you left, you didn't have any, maybe some of the social economic status or funds to do the things you wanted to do. Now you do. Now you're getting acclimated again to a system of people you never knew in the first place. So those are things we got to keep in contact with and keep in context rather. Shout out to Brother Afro Think Tank. His channel is below. We're out.